sub, Miss Walmsley, and then unfortunately he had to cancel. Mr. Anderson had to cancel this morning. I know we have three or four recusals by you, right? I think we're going to recommend that the committee move those to full board.
Okay.
And then got an echo back. Okay. I think outside of the four recusals that you have, I think the rest of them, we have three people. That's a quorum, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Okie dokie. So do you want me to just take those four items together at the beginning? Or do
Yeah, it may
them,
be
or
best to just, yeah, take your recusals, ask anybody else if they have recusals in that agenda item, and then just push it to the full board for those
okay.
items.
So it's just gonna be me, Tariq, and Frank
Right.
today.
Yep.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Frank.
Hello, Frank. How you doing?
Good, yourselves.
Not bad.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are streaming.
So they have one. What's up? Oh, not.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Jean.
Good day.
Hello.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the October 8th, 2024 meeting of the Arizona State Board of Pharmacy Complaint Committee. My name is Lori Walmsley, and I'll call the meeting to order. Dr. Gandhi, if you could do roll call and conflicts of interest, please.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Mr. Thorwald,
Here, no conflict.
Mr. Al-Nassif,
Here, no conflict for today.
Ms. Walmsley.
Here, and I have conflicts for items 4B, 4E, 4G, and 4H. And since we are a board member short, I will table those items and we can discuss those as a full board meeting. So I'll skip over those as we move through the agenda unless there are any other objections.
What were those agenda items?
4B, 4E, 4G, and 4H.
On the Walgreens matters?
Yes.
I'm not sure those match up to the packet.
They do not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am looking at the wrong spreadsheet that I made. Thank you, Seth, for keeping me honest. Hang on 2 seconds.
I have, Madam Chair, 4D, 4F, and 4L.
For D, F, and L.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Gandhi. Too many things going on today. All right. Anything else anybody wants to pull?
Just a quick
Alright.
comment if I can, Madam Chair.
Yes.
We have somebody here for 4C like Charlie and 4P like Paul.
Okay.
In the
thank
boardroom.
you. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and take it from the top then. Complaint, item number 4A, complaint number 24-0388. A licensee violated a non-disciplinary order for civil penalty.
And I believe the technician did not respond to this to our staff. So I move the case for conference to a conference.
Second.
Before we take a vote on this one, do we want to put something on there that like subpoena her for an appearance, or do we, or as an alternative, a hearing? It doesn't seem like she's been very cooperative from the reading. And I'm worried that this will just be delayed another couple months and we'll end up in the same place.
Okay, can we move directly to hearing? Without conference? If that's the case, yes, I modify my motion for hearing.
What about hearing and a subpoena? To be at the hearing.
Well, they will have to, if you voted to hearing, they'll get a notice of hearing. If they don't respond, you'll get a motion to deem.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
so I modify my, yeah.
And I modify my second for that.
So the motion is what again?
Go for hearing.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, item 4B, complaint number 24-0403. A licensee may have failed to report charges within 10 working days.
So our standard is $250 fine due to failing to provide a new criminal charge. So I move for $250 fine,
Disciplinary or non-disciplinary?
non-disciplinary.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 4C, complaint number 24-0259. The pharmacy dispensed an incorrect generic medication to the customer.
Ms. Walmsley, I believe we do have someone who wants to speak on the issue. Is
Sure.
that correct, Cam?
That is correct. You
Do they wish to address the board, or are they just available in case we have questions?
available for questions, Madam Chair.
I read through this. I mean, I'm glad they are there because I don't see the pharmacist who named there is responsible for what happened. But I like to hear from them about what the relation between those three companies, because there's three companies involved there, right? Unless I'm mistaken.
You would like to hear from them now?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to address now, to talk about it now, that would be great.
Thank you so much. Michael Angel, Director of Pharmacist in charge of Carillon RX Pharmacy. So our pharmacy model is a central fill model based on a shared service. So we are the front end processing pharmacy for the data processing, and our back end pharmacy is CVS Caremark. They do packing, fulfillment, and shipping. With this order for this patient, around the time, for those aware with the board, we opened our pharmacy on January 1st. And the first 3 days of being open, our computer system was completely down. And we had an intake of about 220,000 prescriptions a day. So after the first 3 days, we were significantly behind. And our parent company, Elevance Health, not only owns us, Carillon RX Pharmacy, but they also own BioPlus Pharmacy based out of Florida that has an Arizona non-resident permit. The failure on this case was on my part. It was my responsibility to notify Inspector Castaneda that we were going to add another pharmacy to our shared service to help us do the verification of these prescriptions. Both pharmacies use the same pharmacy management system, so there's no need to train the pharmacists on the systems, and we are owned under the same company, so we didn't have to have a written shared service. But the real failure was on my part to not notify Inspector Castaneda that we were bringing on another shared service partner, and for that, I'm very sorry. This was a short-term fix. By the way, once we got caught up, we brought on the additional help in our company on January 8th. And within the first week of March, they were not in our pharmacy system anymore. There was no plan to use them originally when we opened. That's why when I gave my shared service list to Inspector Castaneda, they were not on it, as we didn't have any plan to use them before, and we have no plan to use them after. It was really an emergency relief for us, and I failed to notify Inspector Castaneda before we used them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And the
Any additional
pharmacist,
questions?
I have
for-
one question. The pharmacist at BioPlus wasn't licensed in Arizona, is that right?
No, they're not licensed, but they have a non-resident Arizona permit, and they have an active Florida pharmacist license.
Okay. This is a question for our staff. Do they need to notify about the share service if they add anyone to their share agreement? Or just like internally, they have the documents?
Board staff, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, board staff. This is Compliance Officer Castaneda. The way our rules read is that they have to have policy and procedures or board members, excuse me. They have to have policies and procedures in place for their shared services. And those policies and procedures need to include what companies or pharmacies they're sharing services with. And upon review of the shared service agreement that was provided, I did not see BioPlus listed.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Frank.
I just wanted to ask a simple question. How did you miss sending the notice about the person's allergies?
Yeah, so the first time we sent this is our first time filling for this patient, and they are allergic to different generic manufacturers. The first time we sent the prescription over to our central fill pharmacy, it was sent over for the correct Lupin manufacturer. It was rejected back to our pharmacy as they were unable to acquire that specific manufacturer. When it came back to the pharmacy, the pharmacist working on the order did not acknowledge the notes on the patient's profile that would pop up and alert them of this. So since then, we have changed if a patient is allergic to a medication that they are receiving due to a manufacturer, we now put that as a hard allergy on their profile to be a hard DUR hold to prevent this from ever happening again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From my perspective, this seems to be a clerical error in terms of the shared services item in particular. And I don't think that there was any malicious intent here. Kind of where my head is perhaps a letter of concern to the permit holder.
I agree with this. So we drop the PIC, is that right? And then we send a letter of concern to the permit holder.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, that my motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item D, 4D, we're going to table. Item 4E, complaint number 24-0171. During an inspection, the pharmacy did not have a current DEA registration available for inspection and was not compliant with all remote pharmacy regulations.
So I'm looking for my notes here. For this case, I have many questions to people involved. So I like to move to conference.
I agree with that.
I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah, so this is my motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 4F, we are going to table till the full board meeting. Item 4G, complaint number 24-0276. A pharmacist administered an expired vaccine.
So I will see this as an error, right? So I would like to go with like our standard 3 hours non-disciplinary continuing education
In what area?
and error prevention and patient safety for both.
I would say both.
Yeah, for both, yeah.
I second.
Can you repeat what you're saying? So 3 hours and
3 hour non-disciplinary continuing education, CE, in addition what required for renewal and prevention, error, or patient safety.
okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Item 4H, complaint number 24-0297. A full service wholesaler permittee relocated to prior to receiving a satisfactory inspection of the new facility.
Just I'd like to make sure I understood the case. So they had a facility in Arizona and they don't function anymore in Arizona, and they use a third party like as a virtual license in our state. Is that right?
This is Dennis Wagoner. At their previous location, they stocked product as a full-service wholesaler. When they moved to the new location, they started using another wholesaler in another state to actually provide their shipping services and became a virtual wholesaler. So they have no product at their new location.
Okay. But the new location is still licensed as a wholesaler, supposedly, but never.
That's correct.
All right.
Is there any intention to go back to being a regular wholesaler?
Not to having product at the Arizona location, no.
Have you inspected the new location? I don't think so, but
I have, yes.
You haven't yet. Okay. So
Any concerns?
No, no concerns.
So we have standard of $500 fine, non-disciplinary, for not informing the board for relocation, and this is my motion. And of
Second.
course, yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Item 4I, complaint number 24-0372. A wholesaler shipped products into the state of Arizona without a permit.
So I move the case to a conference.
What about in just having staff do what they normally do with regarding to the type of fine based on the number of products shipped into the state?
I would agree with Frank. So allow the staff to negotiate either a consent agreement based on the number of items shipped, or our standard terms for a non-disciplinary agreement based on the total number of items. I think it's $100 an item.
Correct. I agree with that.
I make a motion to do that.
And I second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 4J, complaint number 24-0369. The pharmacy dispensed an incorrect dose of a medication to a child.
I'm sorry, which item?
4J,
4J, okay.
I would think they should.
Yeah, go
So-
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just go with our standard. 3 hours continuing education in addition to required CE for error prevention or patient safety.
I agree with that.
who do you want to include in that?
For both, for a technician and a pharmacist.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, it is my motion, yeah.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 4K, complaint number 24-0393. A patient received the wrong strength of a medication.
Same thing. So this is my motion. I move to 3 hours of continuing education, non-disciplinary.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, it's like for error prevention or patient safety, one of those.
I have a question for staff too.
Looks like Mr. Jacobson was the inspector.
Mr. Jacobson, had there been any previous issues with this before, this type of problem?
There didn't seem to be any previous issues with this type of problem at this pharmacy with these employees.
Thank you. I would second Mr. Tariq's motion.
Is that for both the PIC and the tech trainee?
Yes, for both.
Well, the tech trainee doesn't.
It doesn't have a CE. All right, so I rescind my motion for now. So for pharmacists, for sure, 3 hour non-disciplinary. For technician trainee.
Mr. Nassif, Al Nassif, this is a question for Ms. Galvin. Just because they don't have a CE requirement, does that?
Oh, sure, okay.
You could still make them, take it.
Yeah, I believe we've done that in the past. I believe they have issued.
Modify the language.
Yeah, it's just modified because they don't have a CE requirement. So the standard terms of they can't count toward their CE is not applicable.
Okay, so I maintain my motion for both of them. Thank you for clarification. Thank you.
Second. I think we lost Lori for a moment.
Let's give her a minute. She lost her Wi-Fi. She may be trying to reconnect.
Oh, we kind of have to give her as much time as she wants because without her, we can't really go forward.
Sorry about that. I had technical difficulties there. What I was trying to say is the image on that prescription was really bad. And my question, and I don't know if we want to bring the pharmacist in and ask some questions to them, or if we want to just go ahead and make a decision. But I don't know why they wouldn't have asked to have the prescription images retaken or physically verify the product or something like that. It seems a bit reckless to me when the image was clearly not, you couldn't see it from the perspective of at least looking at the picture. And I don't know if the image was any better, Max, when you were in the pharmacy of their actual computer system, but I can see why the pharmacist missed it because I can't read what those tablets say.
Madam Chair, the motion was made for 3 hours of CE for error prevention, patient safety for the pharmacist and tech trainee.
Yes.
What about have also a letter of concern?
That could be tied to the 3 hours of CE, letter of concern connected to the CE.
We can vote on the motion if you guys want.
Hey, Madam President.
Yeah.
This is CO Jacobson. The image that the pharmacist sees is in color. It is a little bit better resolution than what you see in the board book. And that is what they provided to me to include for evidence. But to your point, the pharmacist did state that he had a tough time to visually verify that medication.
From your inspection of the actual image, were you able to make out what the tablets showed, or do you think it was the pharmacist should have taken another action?
So all I could see was the retained image, what they provided me for evidence, the same stuff that you see in the board book there, but in real time, in person, it is in color, but it is still tough to tell.
Okay. Well, to your point, Dr. Gandhi, we have a motion on the floor for 3 hours of CE. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye, well, nay, technically.
I
Motion,
So
motion
that
carries
two
for
to
the C. Item 4L, we'll table for the full board.
Madam Chair,
I-
can I interrupt really quick?
Yes,
For items 4G, 4J, and 4K, may we have the committee's recommendation for the permit?
For J,
G. As in George.
Correct. 4G, 4J, and 4K.
I think those three cases all had recommendations for non-disciplinary CE.
yeah, for 4G, do you need like a new motion or just,
No, just recommendations for the permit holder, please.
yeah, recommendation for 4G, it's drop permit holder,
Dismiss.
dismiss,
I agree with that.
yeah. And for J, same thing for 4J.
I would agree with that. Frank, any alternative opinions?
No, I agree with it as well.
And what is the last one? I'm sorry. G, J, and
4K.
K. Dismiss for permit holder.
I agree. Frank,
I agree as well.
Jennifer, did that hit all the ones that you were missing?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. 4L will table 4M complaint number 24-0407. The complainant patient alleged that the pharmacy did not process her prescription with the correct days of supply.
I think we should just do our standard on that.
With this case, I see like there's a lot of like back and forth, and insurance reject prescription, required PA, patients agree to pay out of the pocket. And so the way I see it, it is I'm leaning like to more dismiss the case or a letter of concern.
Oh,
Because the day supply doesn't gonna cause a harm for a patient, and there is no insurance involved. And I believe the patient was aware of the situation and agreed to pay out of pocket.
yeah, I think there's some unknown factors there. I mean, certainly the person could have been the cost if they're paying out of pocket. Maybe it was too much for the full amount.
Yeah.
This
Product is very expensive.
That's what they might have just been trying to do it and then not come back for the second half, or something happened here. It just seems like that might have also be another thought in here, and I don't see an answer to that question.
And I believe the patient got refunded, right? So they got the money back.
So they paid for the full 28 up front?
It doesn't go by day supply, the price goes by the item
Quantity.
itself. Yeah. So that's why I said insurance wasn't involved there, so there's no impact on the copay or on anything. So I will make my motion to dismiss the case.
I agree with you, Tariq.
I second your motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4N, complaint number 24-0397. A wholesaler failed to quarantine and redistributed returned refrigerated drug previously exposed to excessive temperatures.
That seems
This tough one.
rather careless to me, and seems like it should have more of a stronger penalty, only because of that. That's not good.
Is the compliance officers with us here? So maybe he can give us more information.
Looks like it's
Good
Mr.
afternoon, board
Hyper.
members. Steve
Yeah,
Hyber.
Mr. Howard.
Did you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Hyper, what's your opinion on this one?
I can give you my opinion, and I think we have a really one of those cases where the board probably needs to impose some type of discipline. It's a gross failure of not only employee training, but failure to follow policies and procedures, and to allow this drug to get back into inventory and then to be redistributed. You can see it caused the company quite a large loss because it got mixed in with many other vaccines, and you know, they had to recall those as well.
Do we know who the responsible parties were within the organization?
We do. I gathered that information, but bear in mind, this is not a pharmacy. It is a wholesaler. One of the individuals did hold a technician license, but they were not acting as a technician. They were acting as a warehouse employee. So it would be at the board's, you know, discretion if they wanted to open a complaint on that individual to impose discipline on the license. Again, I don't know what we would use as a citation, but I guess it could be explored. The other one was not licensed. The other involved employee was not licensed.
So we know that there were 19 patients that received potentially adulterated vaccines.
Yes, this was in the report that was provided to us by the permit holder. Their response indicated that 14 of the potentially adulterated doses were administered and impacting 19 patients.
I think there should be a more hefty fine, and that we should, in some way, if we can, the party who did this bring a complaint against them, if that's possible.
I don't think we can, since they're not necessarily licensed with us. I think it's really with the permit holder in this particular case.
It seems
This
like
is-
the permit holder has lost a lot of money, and it doesn't seem like they would have supported that. And it seems like this is more of the individual who was responsible for this to me. And that gives me concern if the person we can't find the person's still there. What incentive do they have not to make this same kind of judgment again, unless the company has taken some kind of action against them?
I'll defer to Ms. Galvin, but I don't know how. I mean, they don't hold a license. I mean, they're not required to hold a license. They weren't acting in a function of a licensed person
They
either.
were terminated according to the report, if I remember correctly. But we need to focus, in my opinion, on the permit holder.
Thank you.
Just to confirm that they were terminated, and the impacted patients, the permit holder did follow up, you know, through their practitioners to have them monitored for any adverse reactions.
I don't see the permit holder. I see the permit holder doing everything that was appropriate in follow-up. I don't see how the permit holder could have known in advance or done anything more than what they already did to prevent it from happening. And I think the appropriate follow-up was done. So I'm not necessarily, I'm more concerned about the individual who is no longer there and them being in another position of that kind of authority to do it again somewhere else than I am about the permit holder. But that's my view.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
agree. I
Thorwald,
feel like
I'm sorry.
good remedial actions were taken after the fact. Sorry, Dr. Grundy.
No, I was just trying to explain to Mr. Thorwald, this business model in our pharmacy space, the wholesaler doesn't need to employ licensed individual by the Board of Pharmacy.
Mhm.
So we have no jurisdiction over any of the employees technically.
Well,
Any deficiency would fall totally on the permit holder itself in this category of our permits and licenses.
it seems like that if somebody has this capability to affect the public, then there should be some way that this board should look at being able to license those people in the future, because you can just see from this simple action what could have happened or what did happen. So
And
I think that should be something we should look at in the future.
And I think as Mr. Hyber noted, the responsibility ultimately rests with the permit holder. And whether there was a lack of training or a lack of education with respect to following the policies and procedures, all of that rests with the permit holder. They take responsibility for those they employ.
And I understand that, and I don't disagree with that. It just seems like one of the things we don't know is what was the training the party received. How much training was, how much oversight was there? This other person that had to check off what this person did, or did they have the sole authority to do that? And I don't think we can make a decision on the permit holder unless we know those facts.
Mr. Thorwald, would you propose a conference in this respect, in this regard?
I think conference would be appropriate.
Mr. Nassif?
I mean, I was leaning for, because I saw like they did everything possible after the fact, and it cost them a lot, and they tried to correct. I believe they modified their policy, but conference would be a good idea. So
I make that a motion.
and I second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 4O, complaint number 24-0334. A licensee failed to report charges within 10 working days and pled guilty to a class 6 undesignated felony charge.
What is our standard fine, standard penalty for that?
It's $250 fine, non-disciplinary fine for not reporting.
And there is sort of two prongs to this. You have the failure to report, but then you also have the conviction of the undesignated felony.
Can we move for a hearing directly for this case?
We can, but I don't know that I think that's necessary.
Okay. I move this case to a conference. That would be my motion.
I have a quick question. What were they substantially impaired by?
I don't believe he was impaired.
Okay,
This was a domestic violence situation, it appears to be.
yes, but under the investigation notes, it also says that they were substantially
Yeah.
substantially impaired.
I don't think that that says that they were substantially impaired. They impaired the ability of the other person to resist.
Ah, I see. Okay, I understand now. My misreading. I think that's what would be the appropriate, what's our normal, what do we normally do in this situation?
They pled guilty, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. What have we done in the past in a situation like this?
So usually we go for hearing unless I don't know if that's always the case. No.
Do you guys have additional questions regarding this complaint?
I personally don't. I'm fine with
don't
the
either.
the $250 fine.
I'm good with that. I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 4P, complaint number 24-0247. A registrant failed to report charges within 10 working days and failed to report change of contact information and failed to comply with a subpoena. Ms. Canavong, I think you said this individual's in the room if we do have questions for them.
Yes, that's correct.
Madam Chair, if I may, in regards to the failure to report a change of contact information, since the individual is here, we may want to verify with him, maybe not on the record, the address. When I was looking through this, he did respond to the email communications. He didn't respond to the mailing ones that appeared to have come back unclaimed. But it looks like comparing the information that was on his application to the letters that were sent, his application listed a specific apartment number, and that was not included in the correspondence. So it could be the right address, but it just didn't have the full information with the apartment number. And the mail carrier without an apartment number may not know where to send it. So I don't know that we have enough to substantiate a failure to change contact information if the only issue was the missing apartment number. So we may want to, like I said, confirm with the licensee or the registrant what his address is. But again, maybe staff can do that off to the side so it's not on the record.
That seems to make sense to me.
If staff could tell us if that's correct or not once they've confirmed that.
And did the respondent provide police record, or what it shows here did not provide these documents?
Since he's here, I do have a question for him if you guys are open to at least hearing from him. Any objections?
No,
None.
that's a good idea.
All right.
He's waiting for your question, Madam Chair.
Is he at the table?
He is, yes.
Mr. Johnson, why did you not comply with the subpoena?
I'm sorry about that. As it goes about responding to the subpoena and things of that nature, I I was in the process of trying to get all the documentations together to properly follow proceedings. It just took a little bit while with the court proceedings, which I have documentation that is showing that I have requested said documents um to properly handle the situation at hand.
Did you reach out to the staff and let them know that you were working to gather those documents at any point in time?
Yes. When during the email conversations that I had, I forget the lady's name, but I did let it be known during the emails that I was in the process of trying to get the documentations. And at that point, the case was kind of still ongoing and new. So it was a little bit harder. Now that that situation is handled, I've been working nonstop just trying to get the documentation and everything together so that way everything's squared away.
Can staff confirm that he spoke to them about this?
Mr. Thorwald, staff did receive an email from Mr. Johnson back in May. Staff attempted to follow up twice in September and did not receive responses to those follow-up requests.
Thank you. Why did you not respond to staff's follow-up requests?
That was on my end. I can apologize. I can sincerely apologize about that. I wasn't checking my emails, and that was just negligence on my part. I'm very sorry about that.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, do you wish to keep your tech trainee license?
Yes.
Did he provide a copy of the police report? Do we have it now?
No, sir. I am currently in the process of still trying to get it. I do have email documentation that shows that I have talked to the court system to try to get all those situations handled.
So you don't have any sort of copies or anything, any documents at this time?
No, sir.
Have you provided staff the documentation that you just mentioned?
No, sir.
Can you do that now?
Yes, of course.
Madam Chair, he referenced communications with the court, but I believe staff also requested police records. Has he communicated with the arresting police department to try to obtain records from them?
Mr. Johnson, can you answer that question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did. I did reach out to the courts, reached out to them multiple times between May and I believe in July. And then just recently when I was scheduled for the meeting, I had reached out to them to try to get all this stuff handled.
And you can present that to staff now. Staff, I have a question. Is the address correct?
Mr. Thorwald, I did just update the address. We were missing the apartment number.
Thank you.
I will table this case because I'd like to see the police report. I want to look at what was involved in this charge.
Will this give staff enough time to pull it together and at least see if we've got additional material that we can consider for next week?
Yeah.
Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Cannabon, if we can get that documentation and see if that's helpful.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
just a recommendation, if we get it by
Sure.
Thursday, maybe we can update it, but anything past that, I think you guys have a lot of homework to do.
Yeah.
And if we don't get it by Thursday, we can table it. But he has something on his phone screen. I'll take a look at it right now. One moment, ma'am.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just witnessed a document dated September 27, 2024, that we've received your online police public records request. Please keep this email for reference. Do not reply to this email. And it has a reference number and so forth. Looks like it took place September 27, 2024.
So no additional information for us to weigh in on in terms of the material, but he did truly request it. It just has taken longer than we would have expected.
Does he need to go to court for the police report, or he can go directly to the police station? Or
I believe he can go to the actual police department to request it, but they also appear to have the option to request it online. I don't know which one would be, if one makes it quicker than the other, or, but it looks like there's probably an option for both.
Okay. So, Mr. Johnson, can you go in person to police department and ask for the record so you can give it to our staff?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, so hopefully you can make it before next meeting next week, so we can have more information.
Yes, sir. If possible, I'll go today and have it already handled, so that way next week will be okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Well, I think Director Gandhi indicated they would need it by Thursday of this week to get it for you guys for next week's meeting, but possibly Cam can confirm that.
I think my thought process is that we, receive documents last minute. You guys are already overwhelmed with material. And so we're trying to create a cutoff so that it's fair to you guys during board meetings.
Thank you. So, Mr. Johnson, can you make it by tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see what we can get, and if not, we can table for additional information or decide if we want to take additional action next week. But I think that's probably good for today. Dr. Gandhi can follow up with Mr. Johnson so he knows exactly what we're looking for. Ms. Canavan, did I hit everything on the agenda for today? Yeah,
we did make
good.
it through everything.
Okay. Well, we will adjourn for today and we'll see everybody next Wednesday.
Have a good
Appreciate
weekend.
it, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next week. Thank you.